You know, Joe, I have to ask you, what do you think of that?
Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think there's a lot of focus. Number one, I really haven't delved into this thing. To me, it's much like a lot of the stuff that goes on a national level.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would be aggrieved if I were one of the parties in the situation,
Sure.
And I can certainly understand that. At some point, everyone has to start talking about issues that face the community.
Yeah.
One of the great things, frankly, about being on the school board is we actually do that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel really fulfilled due to the fact that I'm on the school board and we are doing things to improve the community.
Yeah.
It's not really political. So there's not a lot of the stuff that goes on, maybe in other branches of government.
I'm not going to dig any deeper on it, but the fact is, at some point, they have to start talking about.
I would agree.
What you're going to do moving forward. You're right. Okay. School budget.
Okay.
You guys passed this, but there's some big key elements to this.
Well, number one, there's going to be a vote. We're going to have another. First of all, we're going to have another public hearing on May 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, the vote will be on May 21st.
And that's statewide.
It'll go to the voters. So, we had another increase in student enrollment. And in this new budget, we're adding 8 new elementary teachers, 12 secondary teachers, 10 reading teachers in the to address a corrective reading plan that we are implementing in order to improve scores. 2 reading teachers in the middle schools for the new reading plan we put in place. 2 guidance counselors in the middle schools. 16 AIS facilitators. They're the ones that deal with all the data and everything else.
Yep.
2 athletic coaches. Importantly, we're creating a district-wide mental health support team, which is going to have a psychologist, 2 social workers, a behavior therapist, and a parent liaison. We're expanding the English as a new language program. We're buying new textbooks, which is very important, and instructional resources. And we're doing a mental health education literacy program. And the big news for a lot of people is that cursive is back.
Oh, really?
A lot of things were cut.
Yep.
The district was faced with draconian cuts from the state. We had to cut a lot of things out.
Yep.
We've been able to keep the budget stable, but we had to cut a lot of the things that were reasonably
This is the first
important.
time in a long time we've heard adding things back.
Yeah, we're
is
finally
pretty big.
Right.
A lot of positions, too.
Well, positions, but the big thing is that a lot of the things that we're doing are going to improve student performance and give them a better chance to succeed.
Yeah.
And, the thing that we're trying to address is kids getting into high school, not really reading on level, and then getting frustrated, and then
dropping out.
Either dropping out or becoming disruptive.
Yep.
And that manifests in all kinds of ways. So we're doing things to really improve the performance of the district and help the parents and help the students. So it's really and it's what I basically ran on.
Yep.
But any dum-dum would know that.
So you don't have to be someone special.
You don't have to be someone special.
Right.
So
sit tight.
I'm really happy about it.
Hobika's in. Joe's on the school board now, the Utica school board, and you guys have adopted a budget. It'll be put to the vote coming up. Where
and we're having a public hearing.
Used to be that cities didn't have to vote on their budgets.
Yeah, that's true.
That was the maybe 20 years ago.
Yes.
Now they do have to.
Yes.
Okay. So you talked about everything that's being added.
Right.
Let's talk about the financials of it.
Well,
and
the one thing that bugs me about the whole budget and has bugged me since I began to learn about it is this charter school. Because $7 million of our budget goes to the charter school.
And it does not get replaced. It's your money.
Not only does it not get replaced,
Yep.
but our board has no ability to audit, evaluate or make sure that the money is being spent appropriately. But the craziest thing is the charter school has now created a second building in the county of Herkimer. And
do you have to pay for that?
We have to pay
That's in Frankfurt, by the way.
$600,000 a year to transport the kids out of the county to go to school. With all of the buildings we have available
this
in
was
Utica,
all stuff that was passed in the legislature.
well,
and
I
it's,
know it was passed, but I am
yeah.
just telling you right now, that's $7 million that could be used.
See,
for,
here's the problem: is they look at it by saying it's per pupil, is how the numbers are generated. The problem is, so take a class of 30, and you take out 2 students. You're going to spend any less in that classroom? You're not. You're still going to have the same amount whether there are 20 kids in there or 18. And so the formula by which you end up giving this up, because you give the money, it doesn't get replaced.
Right, but there's no oversight.
Right, that's
okay?
true.
And that bothers me. And what really bothers me is they created a building out of the county in Frankfurt, out of the city in Frankfurt,
that you have to,
and it costs 3 times as much to bus the kids that go to that building than it does to bus the kids in Utica.
I will say, Joe, they had a really good basketball program this year.
Well, they have all of our kids, so
we should talk more about this because I have a lot of questions about what you just said.
To be
that
honest
does not
with
even
you,
make sense.
Well, I know it doesn't make sense, but
That's
I'm not
the way
the person that needs to be asked.
It's the law.
The people that need to be asked are the elected officials in Albany. So, I think there needs to be some provision so that there can be some ability to demonstrate oversight.
And when you say in Albany, I'll just be quick here. You don't mean Joe Griffo and
I do.
Marion Buttonshot.
No, that's where this.
Well, because I would tend to believe they probably agree with you, but it actually would be more of a question for the State Education Commission, right?
No,
about that formula.
This was voted.
No.
This came
It's
from the
law.
legislature.
Okay. Well, we'll ask Griffo and Buttonshot and Miller when
Now-
they come in.
No,
because that doesn't make sense.
The question would be.
I don't know the legislative
when
history.
it,
Don't
when
get
it
me
was
wrong,
up,
but
when it was up for a vote, there's a good
I'm
chance
sure
that
they probably, at
voted
least Joe
against
probably
it.
voted against it.
I don't know the answer to that, but this comes out of the legislature. That's
this
where
is crazy.
from. Yeah.
I'm sorry, $600,000 to bus kids out of the city, but the school district has to pay for those kids to go to school in Herkimer County. Now, you tell me why those kids are going to school.
That's
in
not a
Herkimer
local
County.
law. That's a formula thing from the state, right?
I don't know what's a formula.
Well,
I don't know what it is. All I know is it's $600
not
grand
local law.
to send the kids.
Because it would
It's
have
a
to be
state-
introduced
Jeff,
locally.
it's a state law. Period. End of report.
Yes, it is.
And we have no ability to be able to demonstrate any oversight.
The reason public schools have such a problem with these charter schools is that, depending on the number of students, their transportation is the responsibility of the public school district, and funding is the responsibility of the school district. It doesn't get replaced. It doesn't. Oh, you gave up $1 million. We'll replace it here. It's gone.
There's no oversight. Period. End of report.
And when you say there's no oversight, it's meaning
you can't audit them. You can't inspect them.
Yes.
You can't even say, we think that's unreasonable. Don't you think it's unreasonable that kids are being sent out of the city?
If you're asking me, yes.
Too.
If you're asking
out of
me,
the
yes.
county,
If you're
and
asking
we're
me,
paying
yes.
for it
I'm
with
just
our
saying,
school tax
I
dollars?
don't
No
think
way.
you should be able to audit them. They should have their own revenue stream, is what it should be. You shouldn't be able
If you're
to
getting
oversee
it
them.
if you're
vice
private,
versa.
and
right.
we're being audited, you should have to be
Right.
audited.
Meanwhile, the state came in and audited Utica and created a lawsuit. So it is egregious. But this came out of the legislature in the last 5 or 6 years is where this
I'm basically
came
only
from.
have 4 more years to try to figure out how to do something with this because once my term's done, I'm done.
Oh, you're not there forever?
You're not announcing for re-election this morning?
No, and I'm not running for anything else.
All right. So a positive budget for Utica.
Absolutely.
Rome is in a tough position right now.
I know they are.
They're in a real tough position. They need some help.
I think they got that extra money from when the base closed, and now all of a sudden. But, people actually believe, and frankly, so did I at one point, that the school budget is strictly based on, a little bit of aid that you get. It almost seems like it's a member item or something.
Yeah.
And then basically just on your real property taxes. But our budget's $180 million.
Yeah.
So it's only
Here's the
comprised
other thing
of a portion of
that I
it.
want to say. There was a story that came out the other day about how New York spends more per pupil than any other state in the country. New York spends more on their teachers. Teachers' salaries are at $79,000 on average, more than any other state in the country. Let me tell you something. That is figuring in Long Island salaries, Long Island per pupil.
Yep.
It is not up here. As I said, my wife's been teaching for 20 years. She's not making $79,000.
You know, I got to
which
be
is
honest
the
with you.
average salary.
No, listen, Bill.
Yeah.
I would assume, and I haven't looked at the steps, but I would assume that if she were teaching for 20 years in the Utica system, she may be making that kind of money or more.
You make more money.
You know, when you
city
choose
school
when
districts,
you know when you're a quality teacher and you choose to
Be
not
careful.
you-
Be
to
careful
not teach
here.
in the best district
She'll ban you
in the
She'll-
area.
She'll ban you again, Joe.
What can I say?
She's done it before. All right, Joe. You have to go.